Welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church's online worship service. I'm Emily C. Jones, pronouns are she and hers, and I serve as the Director of Religious Education. We are a free and welcoming community supported by your contributions. Those contributions can be made on our website using that donate button, through the Breeze program if you are a member, or by sending a check to 524 Allen Avenue, Portland, Maine. Please note if the donation is your pledge or a gift to our Share the Plate. Speaking of which, our Share the Plate recipient for the month of December is the Minister's Discretionary Fund. The Minister's Discretionary Fund is a visible demonstration of our care for one another. Your generous gifts allow the minister to provide assistance to members of our church community or to people in the greater Portland community who are experiencing difficult times financially. If you find yourself struggling in these challenging times, please contact Reverend Donna. You are invited to join us today, December 20th at 10:45 a.m. for our Congregational Conversations and Coffee Hour. Please look for that Zoom link on our website and check out our special solstice service on Monday, December 21st. And our live sunset Christmas Eve service on December 24th at 4 p.m. To learn more about Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church, please visit our website at A2U2.org.
Our Call to Worship Words are Winter Solstice by the Reverend Rebecca Parker. Perhaps for a moment, the typewriters will stop clicking, the wheels stop rolling, the computers desist from computing, and a hush will fall over the city. for an instant in the stillness. The chiming of celestial spheres will be heard as the earth hangs poised in the crystalline darkness and then gracefully tilts. Let there be a season when holiness is heard and the splendor of living revealed. Stunned to stillness by beauty, we remember who we are and why we are here. There are inexplicable mysteries. We are not alone. In the universe, there moves a wild one whose gestures alter the earth's axis toward love. In the immense darkness, everything spins with joy. The cosmos enfold us. We are caught in a web of stars, cradled by a swaying embrace, rocked by a holy night. Babes of the universe, let this be the time we wake to life, like spring wakes in the moment of winter solstice.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Please grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let all find tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shining, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in your sounds that become full symphony.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Our chalice lighting words are those of Richard S. Gilbert. O flaming chalice, symbol of a free faith, burn with the holy oil of helpfulness and service. Spread warmth and light and hope, warm hearts grown cold with indifference. Light dark places with justice, rekindle hope in despair. May we bring fuel for thy fire of love. May the oil of loving kindness flow from us to thy leaping flame. May hands of service shelter thee, that no winds of hate may extinguish thy brightness. May thy light and warmth be eternal. May we be keepers of thy flame. Sometimes for me, I can be waiting for a special day. I can be waiting for a celebration. I can be waiting for a friend to come and visit. I can be waiting for a special TV show or movie. And then by the end of it, I think, how did that happen so fast? It's already over. Well, there are a lot of things in life that are like that. And one of them is one of my favorite things, and they are slinkies. So slinkies seem like they go really fast. And I have a couple here. I have a big slinky, and I have a smaller slinky. So what I want you to notice, and I'm just going to do an experiment with you, is I'm going to hold the slinky up and I'm going to drop it. And I want you to see how fast it goes. And watch the little one. It goes really fast. You hardly saw it go by, right? It goes so fast. And sometimes life is like that. It just goes by really fast and we hardly seemed like we paid attention to it. And so I wanted to do an experiment with you and show you what it looks like, what a slinky looks like when it slows down. As you noticed in that little video, the slinkies looked like they were going in slow motion, and they were. There is a setting on my video recorder on the phone that has slow motion, and so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to see a slinky go slow? And life is a little bit like that, and let me tell you a little bit why I think slinkies are so special. This slinky here was a gift to me from a woman named Adele Millett, and she lives in Old Orchard Beach. And Adele was my spiritual advisor. I mean, somebody who helps me to think about my own spiritual practice and the things that center me. And she said, it's like a spiral, and life is a little bit like a spiral. And sometimes events end up being like a spiral. They just go around and around, and if we're not paying attention, we won't notice the great joy in the event. And if we're not practicing what helps to center us, and for me, that's walking, meditating, listening to music, sometimes it's journaling, I might not be prepared to notice the joy in just the everyday stillness of life. And that's part of what we're going to talk some more about. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the rest of the service, and we'll talk a little bit more about that during coffee hour, and I hope that you'll join us there as we all share a little bit more about our experiences.
Stillness reigns, the winds are sleeping, all the world is bent on keeping tryst with night, whose wings are sleeping from the west, each ray of light. Dusk, a soft and silken cover over all is seen to hover in its readiness to cover all the drowsy world good night. Those who labored long untiring hail this time of rest, desire strength renewed, grow sweet retiring, welcome thoughts of peaceful night. And through spaces real or seeming, find the Eden of their dreaming, soar to starry ways, redeeming hours of toil and pain. Good night.
I invite you into the spirit of prayer or meditation, as is your practice, with these words, breathed into the world by the Reverend Sandra Fees. Whoever you are, wherever you go, may you know the call of the stillness of winter and the call of love. May you see the moon silvering the night sky, and let the dark of midnight plunge you into your truest self and fling you out again to a world in need of who you are. May there be the familiar carols you know by heart and new melodies to set you free. May there be feasting and frolicking, kindness and wonderment. And may there be wise people to follow a star in the east and a child to teach us to love, and enough magic to let the imagination go wild, to let Christmas arrive with its enchantments, with its glitter, glow, and gold, and let what wants to be born break through. May the presence of the holy crowd out fear, hate, and worry, and proclaim in this moment that peace and goodwill might yet be breathed into the world. And a vow that we too can give birth to love, wherever we go, whoever we are. If ever there was a time to notice the sparkles in stillness, now seems like that time. We find ourselves in the stillness of the beautiful snow that some of us enjoy from the warmth of our homes. We find ourselves moving through the holidays in new ways offered by the absence of travel and visiting guests. We find ourselves in some kind of stillness, even if it's just for a moment. Now is the opportunity to open our hearts to the sparkles that this season has to offer. When is your heart wide open? Sometimes we need to slow down like the slinky in slow motion to create enough room to invite and notice joy. Joy is an act of resistance, author and professor Toy Darracott states, and joy can be an antidote to despair. How on earth do we prepare for that? One of my spiritual practices is Lectio Divina, divine reading, and some describe and call it divine listening. It surprised me in a way that I was so drawn to Lectio Divina for a final project in seminary. Until that point, I had been quite successful at avoiding Lectio Divina since I had started my work with my spiritual director, Adele Millett. She had gently encouraged me to engage in some type of reflective reading in my morning meditation. The opportunity weaved together a combination of what Howard Thurman refers to as head and heart. My adventure began listening to the book Adele had recommended, Too Deep for Words, Rediscovering Lectio Divina by Thelma Hall. It seemed easy enough. I then searched for a brief review of how to do Lectio Divina and adapted a model from Marcia Whitaker. My goal was numerical, 9 days of Lectio Divina. My intention was just to see what happened. I had absolutely no idea of what would come as I wandered through the layers of my soul. Day 1, day 2, day 3, and onward. Day 15, 7:47 p.m., my journal entry reads, "It's interesting. It occurs to me that as I go along, it's almost cumulative. Today's message, words, weave into the day before, holding me like a tapestry of colors and textures. What began as a 9-day goal lasted for 79 days in a row. That was a pretty good run by any account. And since then, my practice has been less frequent and still meaningful. Once a week, a group of us gather on Zoom and engage in this reflective practice in community. Sparkles in the stillness, the gift that offers room to prepare for joy's arrival. This week, as I cooked on my cooking day, I made sloppy joes and I dug out that recipe and I noticed again the notes in the margins written by my father. He had a rating system. Very good. Good. Don't make again. All carefully noted. Days pass. The stillness when sparkles of joy edge into our lives. Perhaps it's a glance of recognition, a giggle at inside jokes, a smile. And when I have prepared my heart wide open enough, I let go and just jump into joy. And I sing cat songs made up by my lovely spouse who has a knack for creating lyrics that are specially planned for each of our pets. Jelly bean, prettiest kitty I've ever seen. Jelly bean, we love you. It's good not to take yourself too seriously, because with a heart wide open, you get to sing off tune, you get to be silly, you get to let go and welcome joy. I'm so grateful to our Unitarian Universalist faith that encourages us to be open to joy, open to love, and open to celebration. We can thank a theological path that led us away from a theology of shame and created a theology of love. Part of our history comes from Arminianism, deriving its name from Jacobus Arminius, a Dutch reformer whose views on Calvinist doctrines were condemned by the Synod of Dort in 1618. New England liberals were given this name because they also rejected the 5 traditional points of Calvinism: predestination, limited atonement, total depravity, irresistibility of grace, and the perseverance of saints. The movement began at a time of the Great Awakening and especially flourished in the area of Boston. Following a literal use of the Bible and human reason, the Arminians asserted a freedom of will, rejected original sin, and declared that human beings are largely saved by their own efforts. As we move into the 1800s, a wide variety of Universalist beliefs were being preached, and out of concern, there was a committee that got together in 1802 to write a statement of faith that would prevent misunderstandings and confusion, which was approved in Winchester, New Hampshire. This happened in 1803, and it contained 3 paragraphs, which became the basis of the Universalist beliefs throughout the 19th century. Hosea Ballou believed that the profession was especially valuable because it affirmed the belief in universal salvation and did not require a universalist to profess whether they believed in future punishment or not. And just a few years later, in 1805, Hosea Ballou published a Treatise of Atonement, a defense of universal salvation. And William Henry Channing was described as a prophet who went place to place with a message of joy and hope. Joy and hope. The goodness of being human, a celebration and invitation as Unitarian Universalists to live into the sparkles of life. Sarah R. writes in her poem, "I have seen joy face to face. She was dancing. She took my arm in the crook of hers and spun me around until I couldn't help but laugh. We met in the kitchen at Motown and then again at your wedding, and I ran into joy in my mother's recipe box. Her handwriting looked like my grandmother's. I ran into joy, face to face."
Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis 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 pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis magis 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 pacem. Dona nobis pacem.
Our reading is for joy, by the Reverend Jan Richardson. You can prepare, but still it will come to you by surprise, crossing through your doorway, calling your name in greeting, turning like a child who quickens suddenly within you. It will astonish you how wide open your heart will open in welcome for the joy that finds you so ready and still so unprepared.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with a web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we are together again.